Ric Bucher, senior writer, Bucher and Friends podcast, NBA analyst for us, is now joining us live. So I was saying this, the James Harden thing is funny. Everybody tells me he's a one because he's a great scorer. He can't get along with Westbrook and Chris Paul, and now he tells me he likes John Wall. He ran through a GM, 2 coaches. Can I make the argument Harden's a great scorer? Magic wasn't a great scorer. He was a 1. Russell wasn't a great scorer. He was a 1. That James Harden's just a really talented 2 that you can't build around.
You can make a case that he's a number 1 player, that he can be the best player on your team, but he's not a number 1 leader. And to be honest, there are very few guys in the league that are. I just had this conversation with a GM at the beginning of the week about how many guys that you could say are true leaders of their team. Not just the best player, but a guy who makes everybody else better and has that ability to carry a team, to literally lead a team to a championship. He said you can count them on one hand. And a number of those had to develop into becoming leaders. That's why I don't want to say that James can't become one any more than Kawhi Leonard can't become one. They just aren't right now. LeBron wasn't one when he started. Kobe Bryant wasn't one when he started. It's a skill set that is separate from just being the top scorer. And as we've seen, I mean, honestly, he can like John Wall all he wants. Chris Paul was as close to the ideal running mate for James Harden as he was going to get. And unless he learned about leadership from Chris Paul, who also had to evolve into an effective one, I don't know that anything's going to change measurably for the Houston Rockets.
Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder clearly make the Lakers better. Are we overreacting to those acquisitions? Should they be the big favorite?
Boy, are we. Look, did their car improve? Did they upgrade? Without question. And could you make a case that this is the best team that LeBron James has ever had at the start of a season? Absolutely. But look, you're in LA. We're both in California. We're looking at across the country. Did we not just experience this? At the starting line, the Clippers also had the ideal car to win a championship. We're confusing the vehicle with the road to get there. And the reason that the NBA designed the season the way they did, with no starting training camp now and not disclosing what the second half of the schedule is going to be, is because they're anticipating, much like the NFL, we're going to have to reschedule games. And they have a lot more games to go through, and they're going to be traveling a lot more. So you are going to have outbreaks. I still maintain that if we don't have the shutdown and we don't have the bubble, that the Clippers were very capable of winning a championship. I remember how we were all convinced, you and me included, they had what was necessary. The bubble took advantage of their greatest weakness, which was team chemistry and the fact that they needed more time together, not less. That 3 months killed them. So ultimately, I look at what the Lakers have. Should they be the favorite? Absolutely, they should be the favorite. Can they do again what they did? Sure. But we don't know what the road looks like. We don't know how many games are going to have to be rescheduled. We don't know how the outbreaks are going to impact things. And we don't know if Anthony Davis, if I'm not mistaken, the number of games that he played last season in total, 83, is the second most that he's played in any one season. Why is that? Because he's had trouble staying healthy. Can he do that in a season that doesn't have a 3-month shutdown and then goes to an expedited playoff? Yeah. Can LeBron James at 36 maintain the health that he's had? Those are legitimate questions. So I just feel like we've all jumped on this train, not taking it into consideration the unique circumstances with which the Lakers won last year's championship and the unique circumstances, which we still don't know what they are, that they could face in this championship run.
Couple minutes left, so we have to be somewhat succinct. So The Athletic came out and talked about all the special stuff that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard got. Did any of it seem bizarre or over the top to you, Rick?
Not at all. Not at all. Look, having covered this league for a while, here's the reality. Stars, superstars, get preferential treatment. John Stockton and Karl Malone got preferential treatment. It's just like they were in Salt Lake City and nobody was paying attention. But if they needed a practice off, Jerry Sloan found a way to give them practice. Damian Lillard, one of the best leaders we have in the game, decides ultimately this is what I'm going to do on this given day, and he does it responsibly. Now, there are other things that go into leadership, but in terms of if I'm going to look at the preferential treatment of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and say that's why they didn't win a championship, again, they were getting that preferential treatment all season long. We were watching them all season long, and we still believed, you know what? They're playing well enough. They've demonstrated they can play well enough to win a championship.
Ric Bucher, covering the NBA since the early 90s. You look good today, buddy. It's
Thank you very much. We're working with a new camera here.
It's just for you. Very professional. All right. Good seeing you, buddy. All right.
Same.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.